Welcome to the United We Scan podcast, the podcast by rural carriers for rural carriers. The views expressed in this podcast are of the presenters and the presenters only and do not represent the views, opinions, or strategies of the United States Postal Service or the National Rural Letter Carriers Association. We ask that you please consult your assigned union representative for guidance in your local area. Please like this podcast, share with your fellow rural carriers, and subscribe to be notified each time a new episode is uploaded. Please leave a comment or question for us below. Thank you. Now, here are the hosts of the United We Scan podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. Episode 81. And this is kind of a national convention call to action episode, if you will. So, I'm going to start this off. How was your week, James?
Well, it was good. It was pretty uneventful overall, other than, the fireworks going off, scaring the cats and dogs in the house like crazy. Loved the fireworks, though. Some great shows going on around us. I could watch from my back porch and front deck. And then I had to work my Saturday because we had 2 subs quit in my office. One left for a $30 an hour full-time job, and another one quit because she no longer wanted to work there with the harassment and is conflict avoidant. So unfortunately, without somebody to be able to back her up and protect her from harassment over small things that affected her, it just got too much for her. So she decided to quit. So we down 2 subs. So I had to work my Saturday. But now we're here Sunday. Of course, Wednesday we recorded that very, very passionate episode. And I hope people take the time to listen to it several times just to get an idea of what's going on, because that is what we're fighting about. That's what we're fighting for, is the people that are affected by this type of mentality. And we don't get very uppity often on here, but that deserved it. So it was unfortunately the most egregious things I've ever heard. It's radiated through me through the entire week. It's still on my mind today. So it's not going away. This is one of those things that we need to step up and take care of now. So I'm going to get on a tangent here. So how was your week, Toasty?
Another hot week. Got some rain though last night, which was nice. It's going to help the grass a little bit from completely turning brown really quick. Other than that, heavy loads on Monday and of course the day after the holiday on the Friday. Other than that, the mail's been light again. Packages have been pretty steady, holding at my usual average. My office is pretty chill right now. We're still waiting for 2 routes to go up. One from a carrier that's been out for more than 2 years on injury. Supposedly he's going to be getting an offer from another station to be a supervisor. So we're waiting on that. And then we had one carrier resign. She had had a heart attack back in December during the Christmas overtime period. And she knew she wasn't going to be able to handle the heat in an LLV this summer. And she had to do what's best for her. And unfortunately, she resigned. We all loved her. But at the same time, we were all still worried about her, and especially after that heart attack. But wish her the best and wish her good health and longevity to see her grandbabies and great grandbabies. So other than that, we're just sitting around waiting. And Bill, how was your week?
Oh, mine was marvelous. I enjoyed another week of recuperation, and I really enjoyed Wednesday. I apologize for using some profanity, but I was so pissed off. I really lost it. And thanks for your editing there, Kristen. And I want to address that because James brought up a couple things, and I said, well, yes, I can sound like a violent person at times, or going around beating up people. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, I will beat up management, and I will beat up the United States Postal Service and our own national board through all the avenues that are available to us, as far as grievances are concerned, failure to duly represent, EEOs, National Labor Relations Board, 1767, anything and everything that we can possibly utilize to make management toe the line, to make the national board hear us, and to back us, the national steward system, to enforce policies and contractual language, I will do all that. And that's the first way that you beat people up. One of the most effective ways that I had in being a steward in my office was filing. And I mean, I filed everything. And I filed so much that I buried this guy under paperwork to the point where he just got to saying, give me the agreements, give me the settlement, I'll sign them both, we'll do a GATS payment. And that's how it worked for the last year of our relationship. Now, as far as physically beating them up, okay, yeah, people, it's the angry bill, that's the violent bill. Well, that's the side of bill that you don't want to see, because that means I've exhausted all, let's say, negotiating skills that we have. And to that point, if I'm in my office and somebody physically assaults another carrier, I'm one of the first people to step in, because I don't, condone the violence. And I also don't condone bullies beating up on smaller people. And I don't condone the fact that you have a zero tolerance policy and it's not enforced. So I will step in and intervene. It doesn't mean you have to fight, but I will get in there and stand up for the individuals. So when I say fight or beat somebody up, I'll go through the normal course of negotiations in regards to procedural avenues available to me. Then after that, sometimes you just got to punch a bully in the mouth. And this is what I'm calling for. We have to punch a bully, the United States Postal Service, in the mouth. Get their attention, make them stand up and realize we're not going to take this anymore. So if you misconstrued my passion and my anger about what we discussed on Wednesday night, if you're not angry about that Wednesday podcast, there's something wrong with you, because this illustrates that for at least 3 years, from Buffalo in 2021 until June of this year, management operates with impunity and total disregard on how to treat us with respect and dignity as human beings, as valued members of the postal team. And if you don't get that, then I don't know why you're listening to this podcast, other than that you're on the national board and you want to use it against me. So, if you took it in the wrong manner, I'm clarifying it for you now, like I did for the gentleman in Georgia last year. He got confused about my difference of the craft and the union. After I made the explanation clear, he said, "Oh, I understand. Have any questions? You come to me. Don't sit there and make comments and start talking behind me my back without first addressing it with me. I'll be honest with you. You be honest with me, and we'll get along." How was your week there, James? We going to Kristen?
Yeah, it's my turn.
I'm sorry, Kristen.
It's okay. It's all right.
I'm just so emotional from Wednesday, and
I'm telling you, Wednesday has really hung heavy on me. I was really glad I had a 4-day weekend. We had Ruby's doctor's appointment Friday. Everything's looking good. Still measuring about 8 days behind, so continuing the twice a week monitoring. But other than that, little man looking pretty good. So, but yeah, no, it's, I know some things were said about me talking about what I'm going through personally in my office. But I listen to what other people are going through in their office. And for me to tell about what most recently been going through is a way for me to let you guys know that I understand. I'm experiencing what many people are experiencing across the country. So I know it's happening because I know it firsthand. And it's not fun. And that's why it needs to stop across the country. Taking my experiences in my office, but knowing that there are so many more people going through issues of similar nature or worse, and it needs to stop. And that's our end goal. And wanting to get onto the national board is to help stop this across the country. Where we are right now, the most we can do is file a grievance in our own office. And we want to be able to help all of you out there that are going through these instances and situations that are not good at all and quite negative. The reason why we're losing our leave replacements and regulars. I mean, we've got regulars walking out the door because of the way everybody's being treated within the offices, and it needs to stop across the board. So no, other than that, the rest of my week, I worked my Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then enjoyed my family time. 4th of July was kind of interesting in my house, but just relaxed yesterday. Went and did some shopping with my daughter today because I'm heading out to Incarceration Concert Festival again this year in 2 weeks, so I will not be on the 21st. I'm kind of afraid to leave the guys alone, but you know, I'll not worry about them for one night.
Take a chance. Take a chance.
But we've just kind of been taking it easy this weekend and just chilling out and get to go back to work tomorrow. Yippee.
Well, Kristen, with what you said, you actually being able to talk about the experiences you're having in your own area shows the people what other candidates can't do, and that is actually relate to the issues they're actually facing. We said it on Wednesday. You can't know what's going on if you haven't been down on the floor in 15, 20, 30 years.
Exactly.
But if you have fresh experience and you can draw on that, people more relate to you because you know exactly what they're going through, or at least similarly to what they're going through.
Yeah. You're used to that negative atmosphere in that office in general. It's
The confrontational attitude.
Yeah, exactly.
You got a phone call on Friday from a young lady. Basically, had suffered through almost 4 years of harassment, emotional, physical, mental harassment from a PM. Filed multiple reports, charges, EEOs, and they finally removed the gentleman from the office, put him in another office where it started all over again in the new office for this gentleman, to the point where he was there for less than several months. They walked in and walked him out. But here's the problem with this. It took her years to get him out of her office. Multiple levels of postal inspectors, EEOs, interviews, written statements, witnesses. This is not rocket science, folks. If you're being physically, emotionally, intellectually, mentally harassed by somebody in management, it shouldn't take 4 years to present your case. And don't forget, the OIG works for the post office, not for us. Contrary to popular belief, they're not an independent agency. They operate in the interest of the post office.
Mm-hmm.
And that's got to stop. There is no way anybody should be able to just hang on to a job for years and years after the first charges are filed against them. And my hat's off to her, because she persisted and it panned out. And what did the post office do? They just pawned him on to another office until it became apparent there that the same thing was happening. And they finally went in and walked his ass out. That's what you have to do.
And the sad thing is this happens way too much.
Yes.
Wait, you mean moving them to another office doesn't rehabilitate them?
I think they've tried that before and failed utterly.
I'm sorry, somebody had actually said that to me at one point, that moving them to another office usually solves the problem with the problem manager.
Yes, you did state that, and again, it's proven to be invalid. You're just moving the problem.
Somebody tell that to that other person who's probably listening to this podcast or has one of her lackeys listening to this podcast. So you also had another update for us, Bill, on our Wednesday episode, right?
Why do you keep telling me about updates? I don't remember.
Something about PA1?
Oh, the PA1? Oh, that's not an update. That's just a follow-up. Well, you can call that an update.
That's what I'm saying, an update to our episode on Wednesday.
Oh, well, you see, you didn't give me a script. You just throwing these updates out. You want me to tell you, an update on my bladder control? Yes, the gentleman that put out that notorious email in regards to dogs killing carriers or carriers being killed because they didn't wear their seat belts. That is PA District 1, which I don't know how, but somehow the DR from PA District 1, whose number happens to be on my phone, found out about it. And let me tell you, you want to talk about lighting a fire under somebody? After they got a copy of the email, verified the date and the individual and everybody else on the email, they went hog wild, and they are asking for blood. They cannot believe that somebody would actually put this on an official postal email to other management members. I'm talking about a DR that in the past had differences with, but we come to terms with each other. And when stuff comes up, we talk to each other. And I let this individual know, and they are taking a baseball bat to this case because this is beyond egregious and atrocious. This is one of the reasons why we need stronger leadership. And when I become president, I'm going to trust this DR to be able to step into a position of authority, handle situations like this, because this cannot be tolerated at any level, to the level of people dying. And then you sit there and blame the carriers for being stupid. Nobody is stupid enough to want to die on their route. Nobody wants to get mauled to death or get thrown out of their vehicle and killed. And the fact of the matter is that with the Rex program, management's going to train us. Well, how are people who aren't trained going to train us? Yet, yes, the national, our national board has put that in print, that management was to train us. Same thing here. Don't put something on the scanner and say, oh, well, they read it and accepted it, and say that's good enough. If you have a relationship on the floor with your carriers, you should be able to walk around to each one of them and reinforce this, to let them know that they're appreciated, to let them know that they're a valuable commodity to the United States Postal Service. They're so busy doing reports, be done at 10 o'clock. This one's going to be done at 10:30. We have the 11 o'clock telecom. We got to, the hell with that, folks. Take care of the people. You take care of the people, and the people take care of the job. If you empower the people will take care of the job. Like I've said, if every supervisor's out of the office, we'll still get the job done. If the carriers aren't there, nothing gets done. So who's more important to the operations of the United States Postal Service? But this DR is going to go full tilt with this email, and the other one out of Buffalo, New York, is also being forwarded. Of course, I've sent it off to my elected officials too, as of Thursday morning. So thank you, James, for the actual printout of it, and hopefully everybody else will follow up and scream to the high mountains that this has got to stop. Whether it be to your DR, your national representatives on the National Rural Letter Carriers Association, and your elected official. This type of mentality cannot be permitted to continue in the United States Postal Service.
And it's also been shared on ruralinfo.net. They actually put out an article on it as well with the images associated with it. So that is there too if you want to share that around as well for anybody out there. Very nicely written article there by Rural Info, if you guys want to go take a look at that. By the way, we are not sponsored by them at all, just putting it out there.
That's another resource.
It's another resource out there. But like we've said, contact your congressmen, women, and your representatives and your senators. You can contact the White House with it as well. Get it to the president. Send it to DeJoy too. His email's out there. But anyway, so speaking of changing the mentality of things, we're coming up on National Convention, less than 2 months away, the last week of August, from the 25th. A lot of stuff starts Sunday evening, though you don't actually start actual details until Tuesday. But you can be there Sunday evening for devotions. They do prayers and things like that on Sunday evening. But we're going to talk about National Convention. What's in it? What goes on? What is needed for candidates at National Convention, and so on. Kristen, you want to start us off with that?
With what part?
Getting to National Convention.
Well, National
The beginning.
Getting to National Convention?
The beginning of National Convention. Getting to there, starting it, being involved, things like that.
Okay. Got me all confused.
So, like when you first get there.
Okay, when you first arrive at National Convention. All right. Yes. All right. No matter how you get there, when you arrive at National Convention, me personally, I like to check in, get to my room, put my stuff away, and then I normally, first thing I do is I'll head down, and if it's still open, I register. Register, get your ditty bags, get your badge, all that good stuff. And then usually on Mondays, which is an unofficial day, there's seminars, there's a first-timers orientation, there's the State of the Union address that the president does. And I don't have the schedule in front of me, so. But anyways, Monday's basically seminars and non-business stuff. Unofficially, it's just a day of anything you want to do. If you want to do it, you can. And then Tuesday starts the day of business. You got to make sure you're registered before you get in on the convention floor. I always suggest to get down early. That way you can kind of get an idea where you're going to be sitting, and then peruse around all the vendor tables. Candidates will have tables, and yeah, that fun stuff. And then when it's call to order and you go in, there's an awesome opening ceremony. There's a benediction. You got the parade of flags. Yeah. And then you'll have your guest speakers on Tuesday, James.
Yep. And Tuesday, once everything's done on Tuesday, then in the evening, they actually have seminars, like your retirement seminar, insurance seminar. And those actually are at the same time. So you literally have to choose which one you want to go to, whether you want to attend the retirement or the insurance programs. It used to be OWCP and retirement at the same time, but apparently that's separate now. But there is a first timers orientation Monday afternoon. So those of you that are going for the first time would be able to understand the rules, how you're supposed to speak on the mics and stuff, things you can interrupt with or things you can't interrupt with, things like that. The standard Robert's Rules of Order apply in these meetings. So they'll give you a Robert's Rules for Dummies on the first timers orientation. So pay attention to that. The OWCP seminar is Monday evening at the same time as the juniors talent show, an auxiliary auction, as well as the legal seminar. And yes, everybody registers when they get there, whether you're a regular delegate, alternate delegate, and guest or non-delegate.
Yep.
Same for auxiliary is a guest. So our juniors are guests at National Convention. I believe they have their own setups.
Yes, they do.
Yes. And if you were on the delegate ballot, but were not listed as a delegate, you will register first as an alternate delegate. And then if you are moved up to a delegate, they will advise you of that, whether at registration or when you are on the caucus floor and they find out that not all their delegates are available.
Convention floor.
The convention floor, excuse me. Caucus. Well, it is the caucus technically because it's the whole caucus of the group. But and then Wednesday usually starts all the actual big business of the convention, right, Bill?
Yes. Wednesday is when we get down to the nitty gritty. And that is probably one of the most inane scheduling. Tuesday is the beginning of the business on the floor. And it consists of hours and hours of proverbial ass kissing, introductions, hotel manager, DeJoy, a local Poomer district representative, this person from this group, and it's like such a waste of time because of the fact that when we come to Friday, where we're trying to close out business and we're going to 10 o'clock at night, how many hours could we have stolen from Tuesday to use to offset Friday's late days? It's pomp and circumstance. I can understand to a certain extent, but I do believe it's quite a bit overblown. I really do. And I don't know what the actual rules are in regards to all these guests, but they feel that, they're required to give them their 5 minutes in the spotlight that ends up, chewing up a whole day. Wednesday actually gets down to the actual business. I don't have my schedule either, but that'll be the day of,
That's when nominations start.
Is that the nominations will start? We'll go on till Thursday.
And
until nominations go up right up until the election.
Actual elections, yes.
But Thursday evening is when the caucus is.
Yes.
Yes.
Then Thursday, the caucus night, is the most important because that's when you get a little more one-on-one time with the actual candidates as we run around like the proverbial roadrunner and try to hit all these different rooms across a convention floor in the hotel and answer everybody's questions. So this will be the first time in Reno, so I'm not familiar with that setup, but it can't be any worse than Grand Rapids.
And you only get 15 minutes with the candidate. And that includes their speech to the caucus, and then if there's time available, answering questions from the audience. Depends on how informative their speech is versus how uninformative and just history that they give. Toasty, have you been to a national convention?
No, I have not.
Okay. So you're the perfect person to go. Do you have questions about national convention before we get into the call for action?
Not really, just because going to state convention, it's a similar setup. With the first day being the pomp and circumstance, and the first timers, the vendors talking, everything like that. The way y'all described it, Tuesday is sort of the nominations and a little bit more of the pomp and circumstance, the guest speakers. Wednesday being the nitty gritty. Here go the resolutions. Here go the Constitution, the non-binding and binding resolutions. And then on Thursday is the caucus. Where the candidates, go to each group, talking to everyone, trying to drum up those votes for vote for later on. It's going to be Thursday or Friday night for all the votes.
Voting is actually all day Friday.
Okay, yeah, that's how it was for the last day of convention in Texas, and it took all day. Even though we didn't have as many candidates as I think we're going to have at national convention, so we'll see how many rounds it goes. At national, we'll probably be out there till probably about midnight.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. I remember, was it Grand Rapids 2018? It was 10 o'clock when we got out of there.
Yep.
Yeah, it's Wednesday, and then Wednesday evening after business session is the banquet, and then Thursday after session is caucus, and then Friday is elections.
Putting in resolutions.
Yep. Finishing up resolutions, appeals. The elections start in the morning and go all day long. And and then once we're done Friday, we're done. Whatever time that may be.
Mm-hmm. And I have my flight the next morning at 6.
Ouch.
Chris, you can introduce a resolution at the convention under new business.
Yes, you can.
And how many meals are you buying? I know my state is providing one. Are any more provided?
Unless you purchase something like ladies' carrier luncheon or anything like that, now you're on your own.
Yeah, there are at the banquet. The banquet's there, but during the lunch break and stuff, they'll actually. Last year when we were at Grand Rapids, they actually had food available for purchase in the concession hall where all the tables were.
Yeah, I remember in Grapevine 2019, they had a food truck outside of the convention center as well, plus the restaurants in the resort and whatnot.
So you don't even have to eat there. You can actually go outside there and find something to eat off the convention floor.
Yep.
And on one thing that we didn't touch on was Tuesday, they usually give you the packet of resolutions that had been put forth by all the states that have gone through the resolutions committee and the Constitution committees and the finance committees for some of them that actually affect the dues of the association. Yeah. So, like my resolution cutting PTF dues into halfway between RCAs and regular carriers instead of them being at regular carrier rates will be put between the Constitution committee and then the finance committee because they want to put a dollar amount on how much it's going to cost the union in the loss of the dues of the current PTFs in the system. Even though it's helping the PTFs, it's going to be a cost to the union. So that's one of the things. And you're going to want to, if you want to actually speak on any of the resolutions or anything like that, you're going to want to go through those Tuesday night because they're going to go through them at the sound of the gavel. At the sound of the gavel, if you don't object and they hit that gavel, that resolution is passed. So you're going to want to read through every resolution, and they only give you the be it resolved or language. They don't give you the intent. They don't give you the whereas. They just give you the be it resolved part, because there are usually a lot of them. You've got 50 states going into one convention with resolution. Michigan's bringing up, I think, 45 total. I didn't get a full count on our past one. But you've got to think that anywhere between 20 and 50 a state of resolutions, depending on how energetic they were on resolutions. So you're looking at 150, 200 resolutions easily.
Or more.
Yeah, Texas had 38. A few of them got voted down, but for the most part, most of them went through.
Yeah. And you got to take out the ones that were for your state only, and then that's just national alone. But a lot of them come up. Some of them will be duplicates, so the resolution committee will combine the ones that are nearly completely identical. So you only get one resolution out of the two, but they'll put the states that brought it up underneath as who brought it up. But
yeah,
so,
that's definitely, I'd say, Tuesday night is definitely homework when it comes to resolutions. That's where I remember James and Bill and I sitting around the table last year going through them. Yeah,
we only got through half of them, and it was like 1:30 in the morning at that point.
Yep.
Yeah, it was crazy late.
We need to go to bed. It was getting too late. There's Wild Bill that actually brings a easel and everything into his room, sets it up so he can go through all the resolutions in his room with whoever wants to attend, and they get through them all.
But yeah, no, it's, definitely when you get those resolutions on that first day, you definitely want to take the time outside of the convention to go over them. It really does make a difference going into it, being aware of what's going up, and if it's something you want to object to and argue about.
Yeah, it kind of puts the damper on the theory that we go to these conventions and it's a big party. Oh, hell no. It's a lot of work. A lot of work.
It really is.
Well,
you're sitting there going through resolutions and you look up and it's 1:30. It's like, oh my God, we've got to go get some sleep.
Yeah. And you could think it's a big party and all that, but a lot of that's just us burning off the energy of sitting in that room for so long, going through all of this stuff. When you're sedentary for so long, when you're used to jumping out of the mail truck every 3 or 4 houses for packages, you got to get the blood flowing a little bit somehow. But for the people that are actually there to make a difference for this craft, we don't stop working unless we're exhausted and we have no more energy left to give. When you're fighting for the craft, you give it your all.
Yeah, it's funny because you get used to your own bed, your mattress, your pillows, and you've got them all broken into a certain point where it's comfortable for you. You go to these hotels and everything's extra firm. They have to last, for the skinny people and the fat people. And you get done at night, you're done. You go to sleep in minutes because it's just physically draining. It really is.
Mentally, it's a big mental brain fry. The entire week can be. It just, I know even trying to go back to work the next day and you're dragging for the next few days because you're just having to totally recharge your batteries on all levels, both physically and mentally.
Yeah, you're so tired you barely even notice your roommate snores.
I didn't have that problem.
But no, it can be fun in a lot of ways. You are hanging out with a bunch of like-minded individuals in a way, because they all want to do the same thing, which is make a difference for this craft. Granted, there may be some people I have heard of and maybe heard them speaking about it that are going there just to hang out with their friends, that they don't care what's going on the floor. They're just there to hang out with their friends because they're paid to do it. But most of the people on that floor want to make a difference for this craft, whether it's they know how to make that difference or whether they're in tune with how to make that difference. That is their own personal opinion. But
the nice thing about it is, though, it is a lot of work. It is a mental fry, but you do get to meet up with the other carriers from across the country, some that you've made friendships with from past conferences and conventions and keep in touch, some that you've only talked to on Facebook and you finally get to meet face to face. there is that social aspect of it too, which does make it nice, and it gives you a little bit of a mental break when you get to hang out with carriers from all over that you don't get to see. But when it comes down to it, the majority of us are there for that nitty gritty, and the hanging out afterwards is just a way to decompress from the day.
So we are asking for anybody that is going to national convention and wants to help make a difference and wants to support a candidate for office. We're looking for those helpers. Candidates need a person to nominate them. Some people have found people to nominate them already. Others haven't. It's a lot more difficult to step up onto that stage and nominate yourself. I know from experience. But if somebody else were to step up and nominate you, it makes the job a little bit easier going up there and doing your speech about how you want to make a difference for this craft. This goes for all candidates, whether they are up-and-coming candidates, new candidates, or incumbents. And it's the same for the caucus walk. They need people to walk with them. Talk about your experience walking caucus with Bill, Kristen.
Well, I've been on both sides of caucus, both, as a candidate and walking with Bill last year. And that's a physical thing. I've done it on the mental where you better make sure you have a bottle or two of water with you when you're a candidate because you're going to need it because you're talking a lot. But when you're walking, it takes a lot of self-discipline. We had several of us with Bill last year, and I was pretty much just behind Bill to steer him into the back of the shoulders. But, and we had others, that were passing out treats and whatnot. So, if you can get a couple people, at least I had one person the first year that, 2022 when I ran, I had one person from my state who walked with me, so I wasn't alone. And, they were just giving, and another thing is when you walk with someone, you're not talking, so you can get a real good read on the room and how they're accepting of the speech and reactions, and, you can read a room from that aspect. I noticed, especially, with Bill last year, being able to just kind of look around and see the expressions on people's faces and just kind of getting a feel for stuff. And that way, when you're done with that room and you go out, you can always give that feedback to the candidate, because you don't always, as a candidate, you don't always get to read the room as in depth as someone who's not talking. So I did notice that. But yeah, no, it's basically you're a support person. If anybody is interested that is going, if you are a delegate, please get permission from your delegate at large or whoever's in charge of keeping track of you being there as a delegate. That just because of the way the compensation is done, I don't know how ever all the states do it, but I know you're supposed to be present for everything, including caucus. So I just highly suggest that you get permission ahead of time. That way you are officially excused from being in your caucus room to walk the caucus with a candidate.
And that also lets them know you're still actually participating in the caucus. You're just going from caucus room to caucus room instead of sitting there listening to all the candidates. But you can't say, you can't say I'm going out to walk through the caucus with somebody and then go back to your room and eat snacks.
Yeah, they have to be able to account for you.
Yes.
And that includes...
Yeah, Kristen was my handler last year, making sure that I didn't stray off the path.
Yeah.
I could say one syllable, and all of a sudden I'd had lasers burning in my back. It's like, okay.
It's because I got to know Bill well enough to read his body language, even from behind, to know you're going to say the wrong thing if I don't give you to the death glare.
Oh, God.
What's the dress code is the question in the chat. We'll talk about that on here right now.
I want to say business casual. I wouldn't say route attire. I have seen delegates in pajama pants at the microphone, and it didn't sit well with me, but I'm not picking out their wardrobe, so. But convention in general, I would say business casual, business comfort.
Yeah, business comfort sounds like a good one for me too. Business comfort. But I know people show up in t-shirts and shorts and flip-flops,
Tank tops
you know.
and shorts and flip flops.
Yeah.
Yes, you know
And
Flip
it's.
flops and thongs.
Please don't. Please don't.
And I will say that I walked caucus in 2022 with flip flops on only because I had brought the wrong couple pairs of shoes all week, and my feet were sore and blistered, and that was the only pair of shoes that I had for comfortable for walking. I will not be wearing flip flops this year at caucus. I can tell that, but
And for caucus walks, I would say more business, not casual, just above business casual would be best for the candidates. But talk with your candidate. Ask them what they would prefer. Maybe they want you to wear their campaign t-shirt or they want you to wear their campaign button, something like that. I know that for last year, I know that a lot of the people were wearing t-shirts for Bridget Boziak from my state board, and they walk caucus wearing her t-shirt. So unless
Salmon
they
color?
have what color
I'm
was
kidding.
it last
I'm
year?
kidding.
I think it was red last year,
yeah,
wasn't it?
and the year before, yeah. But
Yeah.
but yeah, you'll see for walkers, they'll pretty much what they wore on the convention floor if they don't have the candidate T-shirts on or something of that nature. And I highly suggest good, comfortable walking shoes
Very comfortable walking shoes.
because you will be standing and walking all night long.
But if you're a candidate for a national board position, you should be dressed to the nines, professional,
Yes.
because you are going up there to represent the entire organization and the craft, and you need to be professional because you're going into a professional position with the national board. And while we all wear what we are comfortable with and can get dirty in the postal vehicles, that is not what our national board has to wear because they're dealing with business professionals who think that the postal service is a business, not a service. So they have to deal with that as well. So, but that's to those candidates out there that are nominating themselves over the past couple of months on top of the people that have already nominated.
And you got to remember, with all these people jumping in for the executive committee position, caucus night's going to be a long night
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
because you're going to have to spread them among all the rooms there. 15 minutes for everybody. Folks, we better get started early because otherwise we'll be getting done at midnight.
Yeah.
Yeah, caucus is supposed to start at 6 p.m. And last year we had two candidates for president, candidate for vice president, two candidates for vice president. Or no, we had one candidate for vice president,
We
right?
had two.
We had two, and then we had one for director of labor relations. We had two for director of steward operations. We had one for secretary treasurer, and we had four of them for executive committeemen, 4 or 5 last year. I can't remember.
And I know
don't have
there's,
it in front of
and
me.
I'm pretty sure there's way more than that now.
I believe we're up to 15 executive committeemen.
Oh,
You
Lord.
serious?
I am serious. There is, I believe, at least 15 candidates for that. There's 3 to 4 candidates for president that we've heard. There's 2 candidates for vice president. There's 2 to 3 candidates we've heard for director of labor relations. I've heard there's 2 candidates for the secretary treasurer. There's 3 to 4 candidates for the director of steward operations, and 15 candidates for the 4-year executive committee term.
Friday is going to be a long day.
Mhm.
Caucus at 15 minutes a person. You're talking there's 20 people minimum for this. So you're 25 to 30 people. 15 minutes apiece. Yeah, you're looking at
4.5
6
hours
hours?
minimum. Nah,
6
4.5.
hours. 'Cause you got to have break. You got to have times where the candidates are still walking to the next room that they have to go to, like at Grand Rapids, where you had to go
Yeah.
from the hotel to the conference center, back to the hotel, across the entire hotel to one room, then back across the hotel to another one,
And up and down a flight of stairs or 2. Oh, yeah.
Or 2.
or a half a flight here and a half a flight there.
Yeah.
That one,
yeah.
that one I like. I like. We went down 4 steps, turned left, went up 6 steps, turned right, went up 4 more steps. I was like, "Are we still in Grand Rapids.
Yeah.
Somebody said, hopefully they drop that to 10 minutes. Unfortunately, 15 minutes is in the Constitution for caucus for how many minutes that the candidates get to speak to each room.
We walk so much at Grand Rapids. I had some guy ask me for my passport at the border.
I know I did 15,000 steps according to my watch at a caucus last year.
Yeah. So caucus is a late night. It really is.
Yes.
And
And if we get, and just remember, each candidate that adds themselves to the list through the nominations, starting on business, starting when they open nominations, that adds another 15 minutes into your caucus minimum.
yeah. So I mean, we don't know exactly how many we're gonna have running until nominations start. So
And yes, it can be changed to have a motion to suspend the rules to make it 10 minutes instead of 15. But then people would be upset because then they wouldn't get their time to ask their poignant questions to candidates. But I'm sure the rest of this panel here will agree with me. We're going to be there all week. I'm sure the rest of the candidates will be there all week too. If you have a question for them, you should approach them and ask them that question. Don't
Yeah.
just wait for caucus night. There's going to be more opportunities to actually ask them outside of the floor and outside of caucus than during caucus.
yeah, I mean, don't be afraid to approach us at lunch break or 15-minute smoke break or whatever while we're out there. Don't be afraid to come up and ask us a question. Be happy to
Or
answer
Sunday
them.
or Monday.
Yeah.
Sunday,
Mhm.
Monday, we'll be there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't forget our meet and greet.
Yep, I am still working on that for Monday evening. I'll post an event on the Facebook page once I figure out the rest of the logistics. So that way we'll kind of have a little bit of a head count.
There could also be somebody who makes a motion to end business for the day on Thursday early to move to caucus early, so that way we could get through it earlier. That's another thing that the carriers could do on the floor. But
Yeah, but after elections are all done and all the rest of the business is taken care of, and then they'll do the swearing in of the new board, and then somebody will make a motion to end, and we'll run out the door.
And if anybody on the national board is voted out and they're going to retire, they'll have a retirement walk for that candidate.
His celebratory bonfire out back. I don't know if we'll have any bonfires, but there will definitely be a celebratory
Party.
celebration of one sort or another.
Mm-hmm. So if you guys have any questions regarding convention, caucus, or any of that stuff, definitely reach out to us. Reach out to us on our page. Reach out to us on our Facebook profiles. Most of us are in most of the groups out there, except Bill. Don't reach out to him on Messenger. You call him. I still remember, Bill. We call you, not message you.
Got quiet. Bill, are you there? Paging Bill.
I'm here.
Okay.
We were calling you, Bill, instead of texting you, and you didn't respond.
Well, I didn't know whether you were done with your pause or not, so I just let it hang there. But yeah, if you want my attention, call me. All the other stuff is secondary. A ringing phone gets my attention.
Call you what? Says somebody in the chat.
The big A.
Call him anything but late for dinner.
You can call me late for dinner if something important's there. I'll put off dinner for a good conversation.
So we're all gearing up for Reno. Every single one of us. A lot of our listeners are gearing up for Reno. If you want to help out with any of us, whether it be caucus, walks, nomination speeches, working our table during the breaks, reach out to the candidates. Most of the candidates have tables, so reach out to them and see if they need help with that. If you feel like just being able to sit down and talk about that candidate to other people, or just hand out the goodies that they put at their table, things like that. But reach out. And even if not, just reach out and say, hey, I'll be at National Convention. Is there anything I can do to help? Maybe they can help you with anything that you think you can be able to handle. If you can't handle those things, maybe just ask, hey, can I just wear a button for you? Can I just wear a sticker for you? Can I carry a pin of yours? Anything like that. You guys have anything else?
I'm going to bring, what do you call it? Complimentary cans of head wax, Bill May head wax.
Now, if they give you $10, can they shine your head for you?
Hell yeah, yeah. and then we can turn around and said, I gave Bill for $10.
I don't think we want to do that.
I signed Bill May for $10.
Oh well, yeah, that's what I meant. No, I don't think it's better than the thong, but that's in the eyes of the beholder.
Hopefully, my eyes are not beholding it.
Or I could sell space in my head, autograph here,
Oh, put your campaign slogan here.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
No, it's all good.
My wife still won't let me get the big red A tattoo on my head. Yeah, I'm just a little upset about that.
All right, Toasty, your final thoughts?
Stay hydrated out there. It's still pretty hot, even though we've got a hurricane headed our way. We're not going to get a lot of it in my area. I'm more inland than the coast. For those that are on the coast here in Texas or even in the Gulf Coast area, pay attention to the weather emergencies. Turn around, don't drown, don't go down the flooded streets. Stay safe, stay hydrated. When we get to Reno, for those of us that are going, let's have some fun. Let's learn. Let's be cordial, and let's get this vote going. Let's go ahead and change what we needed to change. Let's go ahead and be a voice for the voiceless carriers. Let's stand up for everyone and represent everyone like we should.
Well said, James.
National Convention is the biggest change for the craft that we can do as members in good standing. Now, I know it's been hard for a lot of new carriers and newly involved carriers to get elected as delegates. And there is a possibility that candidates that were not made delegates but were on the ballot as alternates could become delegates at Reno. It's more likely for states that are further away than ones that are close by, but it also happens even in the states that are close by. We had several people that moved from alternate to delegate from Michigan last year here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So it is possible to happen. Don't give up. Even an alternate can help out in many ways at conventions. Like we talked about helping the candidates. You can also be involved with counting the ballots or watching them count the ballots for the candidates to make sure everything is on the up and up. Not saying that it isn't. The Tellers Committee does a good job. In fact, every observer that has been in the room has said that they've done exactly what they were supposed to do. So, but that is an option that people have. Even delegates can go and sit and watch the counting of the ballots, and they don't lose their delegate spot on the floor. They just won't be voting on any resolutions that are occurring during the time that they're counting the ballots, because they still go through the resolutions while they're counting ballots. But you can still participate as an alternate delegate. You can still participate as a non-delegate. If you weren't elected or on the ballot, you can still come as a non-delegate and participate. You can't speak on the floor unless somebody suspends the rules, but you can still participate as a non-delegate. We're ready to fight for you at National Convention. We're ready to fight for you after National Convention. It's time for everybody to step up, show up, be involved, and show our national board and our elected delegates that in this craft, no matter what, we're all in this together. Bill?
Well, you've hit almost every point that we need to address, and I'll reiterate that we do need your help, whether it's at our tables, whether it's during caucus night, whatever the candidates may ask of you to do. The thing of it is that if you're a delegate, you have the most important and powerful tool available to you. Change this craft, the union leadership, and you have to exercise it. And I can't make this any more poignant than this. We have approximately 1,200 people representing over 120,000 carriers. So those 1,200 people are going to dictate the future of this craft. We want to continue down the path we've been on the last 15, 20 years. We want to continue on with the toxic work environment that's not being addressed and prosecuted, that our national steward system should be, nailing these people's hides to the wall. If you're a delegate, this is the most important function that you have at the National Convention. Vote for the people that you think will do the best job representing the craft. Not themselves, not padding their retirement, not staying off their route, working for the craft. They have a responsibility and an accountability to the craft members. And they've been blinded to that for years. It's not about us, it's about them. So this year, let's take the opportunity and change that perspective. Let's get people on the national board who are going to represent the membership. The only way you can do that is as a delegate and through your vote. And we're going to have hot weather, throughout the country. You've got some storms coming up there on the coast for Toasty and his neighborhood. Everywhere, everybody, be safe. Watch out for flash floods because the ground is so hard packed and everything. If you can't see the road, you don't drive through it. Okay? Turn around, save your life for another day. And remember, you are the most important delivery of the day. Regardless of what we've seen and heard this past week from management, regardless of what happens in your office, don't settle for the toxic environment and the harassment about how to do your job, because you're the most qualified person to do your job. Not the 204B, not the supervisor, not the postmaster. You are. So use your discretion, carry discretion, your job professionally, efficiently, safely. And for God's sakes, everybody, start hydrating now for tomorrow and the rest of the week. Make sure that you make that delivery, the most important delivery, and that is you to your loved ones at the end of the day.
Thank you, guys. It's been a week. I just want to kind of, put that out there too, that those that volunteer to help the candidates, whether it's at their booth or walking with caucus or nominating them, that is just showing to the rest of the delegation that, yes, I believe this person would be great at leading the craft, and it's showing that those candidates have support of the craft members, or, some craft members, I should say. But yeah, that's definitely part of the, helping out is showing your support. So, like I said, if anybody's interested, just give us a holler, and we'll put you in touch with whoever needs to be, if it's a general message or whatnot. So, but on that note, guys, please remember to stay safe, stay hydrated, and it's July, it's summertime. So yeah, stay safe, stay hydrated, get home to your loved ones, and we'll be back next week.
Just put the GIF in the chat.
GIF, you mean
Did you
GIF?
say GIF?
Yeah, GIF's
GIF.
a type of peanut butter.
GIF. It's a graphics interface.